triathletes. I say this is for triathletes because it's obviously a bit more of a triathlon camp, but this is also appropriate for runners and cyclists and swimmers as well. So any endurance athletes. All right, so a little bit about me. I am obviously not the man there, that's Joe Skipper. That is me, okay? And that is me in life. I'm always like the background girl, like the girl in the back who's just trying to fix everybody and do their programs. But I did a double degree in sports science and physiotherapy. I then worked in a private practice in Bunbury. And I just found it really churning. I found it patient in, patient out. I could see people for 15 or 20 minutes and I couldn't actually fix them. By the time that I ended up hearing about their problem, I was like, oh, gotta go. So I used to always try and do, obviously, lots of exercise prescription, which is the long-term management for almost any musculoskeletal injury. And I'd get in trouble for not putting my hands on, which meant that I wouldn't give them a massage or rubbing them and getting a few nods, yes, okay, and I used to hate it because I was like, but my people aren't getting better. So I went back to university because I had some pretty good relationships with a lot of my lecturers. They had initially offered me to come and do my master's. I'd said no because I really wanted to make money because I spent 5 years at uni. And they said, no, come back, come back. So then I ended up doing my PhD because that escalated quickly because I don't do things by halves. And I looked at strength training for long distance triathletes. To this date, it's still the first and only study looking at strength training in Ironman distance athletes in terms of improving performance and helping prevent injuries. So I'm a girl, I love it. I live and breathe it. I've worked in the industry for over 11 years and I just love everything about endurance sports. I used to be a triathlete and then I have 2 little kids, I have a 3 and a 4-year-old, but I did buy a TT bike today, so I'm like, ow! I chose wisely. I got a really old P3. I'm sorry, Jake, it wasn't from here, it was too expensive. It was a second-hand one, so I could dabble and then if I didn't want it, I could sell it again. But I'm like, I'm really looking at it and like, oh, Ironman entries. Anyways, so I cannot help myself. So, why should we strength train? I generally find when athletes come to see me, they're kind of one of these 2 camps. And I want you guys to think about where are you might be in between. I get the niggly athlete. This is the athlete that comes to see me and they go, I love triathlon, I can perform at this level, but if I, for example, run more than 50k a week, I just get this Achilles tendinopathy. We fix that. I get this knee pain, I get this hip niggle, and I just can't go above that. Or they just constantly have niggles, okay? So that's what I call my bit of a niggly athlete. Nothing wrong with it, okay? But they're just a niggly athlete. Then the other athletes that come and see me, I call them the plateaued performer. So they're the athletes who are just wanting to get the most out of themselves. They'll come and see me more for the performance side. They'll go, look, I generally don't get injuries. I use my husband as the example of this. Man never gets injuries. I claim it as me because he does my strength training. Then he says he never got injuries before he met me, but I claim to my bias and I'm like, no, it's me. And generally they come, they go, I'm looking for that extra bit. You know, I swim, bike, run my heart out. I want that extra little bit. Okay, so you guys maybe think about which one of these you fall in. You could also swap between the 2 as well, okay? Or be somewhere in between, right? If you are the niggly athlete, strength training can reduce sports injuries by almost half. This is one of the biggest systematic reviews that was done recently looking at things that prevent injuries. Okay, they looked at strength training, proprioceptive training, stretching, right, which showed no effect, okay, on the things that prevent sports injuries. Also recently there's been some really good studies looking at hip and core strengthening to prevent running related injuries. This showed a significant decrease in injury occurrence. If you're the plateau performer, strength training can significantly improve economy, time trial performance, maximum power, and fatigability, and more than that as well. I ran out of space in my slides. Okay, in our study, for example, we did a 26-week strength training intervention, 12 weeks easier, 12 weeks a little bit heavier. We saw a 7% improvement in cycling economy and a 5% improvement in running economy. And that is more than super shoes, but still buy the super shoes. Ain't nothing gets out, but like 3 pairs at home. All right, but these things are better than super shoes, stretching, foam rolling, Normatex, massage, etc. All the other things that we go looking for. Strength training is a really good thing that you can do to top up your performance or help prevent injuries. Also, I talk super fast, so if I'm talking really fast, if someone can just go and I'll slow down, okay? Cool. But how? You're like, what? Kate, this is way too good to be true. Lies. magic. Not really, okay? Also, I crack jokes, no laughs. Someone you like a token laugh, not at me, like just then with me, okay? All right. Now this is where I get a little bit nerdy. So some of the ways that strength training helps improve performance, decrease injuries. We increase tendon stiffness. All right, so Andy, who was one of the lead sports scientists that worked with Kipchoge in his sub-2, one of the key things that he worked on was improving his tendon stiffness, particularly through his patella tendon and Achilles tendon, here and here, okay? Because tendons are free energy, all right? They are literally elastic energy. Imagine your Achilles tendon, your patella tendon, because they're the two primary ones during cycling and running. Imagine them like elastic bands. You've got a really strong, nice, stiff elastic band. You hit the ground, tension on the elastic band, you let it go, beautiful flying forwards, okay? Old flimsy one, you hit the ground, take ground reaction force, or if you're trying to produce power going into the pedal, it's the other way you can think of it, depending on bike run. If you've got a nice strong one, you're gonna really transfer that really well and produce power, okay? Old flimsy, you're gonna lose it, all right? Tendon stiffness is free, that's elastic energy. That requires no energy whatsoever. So the more work that your tendons do, the less work your muscles do, particularly important when it comes to long distance stuff, okay? So that's where we really improve our durability, minimize fatigue on the back end of races. Also comes from improving maximal strength, if you get your strength training right. I put here FDP because I like to liken improving your maximal strength to like doing an FDP on the bike, okay? I'm sure all of you have had Jake probably give you an FDP at some stage, all right? So we know that's your functional threshold power. Think of your, we call this in sports science, MVIC, maximal voluntary isometric contraction, okay? So with that one, or when it comes to, so when it comes to that, that's the maximum amount of power, all right, that your legs can produce, okay? So let's liken that to, say you're doing your FTP, and I'm just gonna use 200 watts because let's go simple, it's Saturday night, all right? As you increase your FTP, okay, so let's say you then increase it to 220, all right? Now you can sit either at the same percentage of that and you're using less energy, or on a race day, you could actually sit on a higher percent of that, okay? Same thing when you're improving the maximal strength in your muscles. You can then use less of those muscles at the same particular pace or power, which means you're going to have a glycogen storing effect, which means you've got more energy for later in the race. Or you'd be like, I don't care, everyone's hurting by 36K, I'm just going to go a little faster, I'm just going to hang on as long as I can to that 36K and grin and bear it, whenever your hurting point is. I say that because I'm traumatised at that point, okay? That leads on to your post-moment and those type 2 muscle fibres, all right? There are fast twitch muscle fibres. They're the ones we don't want to use, okay? They're highly oxidative, they require a lot of energy. We're going to put them off as long as we can. If we improve our maximal strength, we're going to put them off. And I'm not talking about like maximal strength, okay? We're not going to that big, thank you. All right, I'm talking about improving neural adaptations to improve our maximal strength, not muscles, okay? Improve biomechanics. We've all seen those race photos where, okay, surely someone will relate to me. You finish your race, you're like, you go online, you're like, yes, race photos. What the heck is that? Okay, no, that's not me. I didn't look like this on the back end of my run, but unfortunately you did. There's photographic evidence. All right, we're going to lose our economy if we're losing our biomechanics there. So the stronger we are, the longer we're able to maintain that good biomechanics, okay, which means more efficiency. All right. If all of that has gone over your head and you're going, she is really rambling, just trust me, okay? I have spent the last huge amount, over a decade, on this topic. Trust me. You can read my research papers, there's so much stuff out there. Trust me, it works, okay? Common mistakes that I see with endurance athletes that they do during strength training. I'm going to get you all to close your eyes for me because no one wants to feel personally victimized, okay? So let's all close our eyes. All right. I want you to let me know if you have ever walked into the gym with good intentions. I know strength training is good, I should do it, all right? I've already got some laughs, okay. Who is guilty of walking in going, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna do 3 sets of 10. Put your hands up. Yes, I'm sure we can hear the vibe, everybody has put their hands up. Who has gone, okay, strength training is good for me, I know I should do it, keep your eyes closed, no tuning, all right? And when I'm gonna do this, I'm going to go all the time, and then they go once every 3 weeks, okay? Or, yeah, put your hands up. So you could even do that physio program you were given, then you go back to your physio, light's not working. Okay, who goes into the gym and has done their program, and gone, that looks good, just put a pin on the machine, done it a little bit light, kind of fluttered around with a 3 sets of 10 gone, that counts, and walks out of the gym. Hands up. Okay. And who actually has had good intentions, been pretty consistent in the gym, but continue to put the pin in the same place, even though they know it's feeling easy, because they don't want to get sore. Hands up. Okay, awesome. All right, open your eyes. They are probably the most common mistakes that I see in the gym, and a lot of you, most of you, we're guilty of doing those. Don't worry, we all are, okay? So, I just want to break down in this session. I want you guys to have something to take away so you can implement it, all right? I am a terrible business person because then no one will come and see me because you'll be like, I know what to do, but you can still come and see me. But every endurance athlete strength training program should ideally include these 3 things, and I'll show you how to put them together, okay? The first thing is some exercises that include some form of muscular endurance. This, and I'm going to go through what these are, but this is a slightly higher set and rep range, okay, that works on literally muscular endurance. Now, one of the most common misinterpretations about strength training for endurance athletes is they think that this should be all that endurance athletes do. Because we're endurance athletes, they see the word muscular endurance, so they're like, that's what I should be doing, 3 sets of 15 of everything. Small doses, okay? Motor control. So a lot of people go, I know my glutes are weak. So they'll do these ones, which is good, nothing against them. And then they're like, cool, now I'll be really good at running. I'm like, no. You've missed the part where we take that strength, we transfer it into a movement that's going to carry it over to running, and it transfers over to running. That's your motor control, okay? Heavy. This is the bit, it's quite aggressive, heavy, all right? So that is the bit that I see most triathletes forget about because they're too scared of the load, which is completely understandable, and I get it because we're tired and fatigued from training, and often we don't know what to do, okay? But that's where I'm hopefully going to break it down for you, okay? So here's 3 of these 3, all right? So 3 good examples. I've done 2 lower body, 1 upper body to replicate this with bike run. So muscular endurance, feel free to take photos, all right, remember what they are. First one, I had to put crab walks in because we've all probably done these in the gym before, okay? Crab walks are a fantastic exercise for strengthening up glutes, obliques, adductors, okay? They're a really good choice. People are really quick to poo-poo them because they're a common exercise. They're fabulous. But one thing that you'll notice that I've done here, band around your feet, okay? If you're putting the time, the effort in to do crab walks, put the band around the feet. If we put it around our thighs, our knees, or even around our ankles, we're not going to work our glutes. And it's little things like these that you want to nail when you're in the gym, so when you're giving up the time and the effort, you're actually getting the stimulus and the reward for it. I have a little thing with the crab walks, you got the band around your feet. I'm holding a weight here just so we can progress. You can always hold it away from you to work your shoulders as well at the same time, because bang for buck, we're triathletes, time is not of the essence. So you're holding onto your weights, step out, lift up, slow control in, okay? Out, slow control in. That control in is what we call eccentric strength, where your muscle's working at its lengthening, okay? Build strength almost 3 times quicker than if we were to rush the movement, all right? And you look like an idiot while you're doing it, which is great. So many of my exercises are like, it's really just very good, silly. Okay, next exercise for muscular endurance. This is gold. If you guys don't want to go to a gym, but you want to strengthen your glutes and your core, do a side plank, okay? This has been shown in the research time and time again, consistently in the top 3 of the best exercises you can do to strengthen up your glutes, and I'm talking about your side glutes. I call them a side bump. This is our back bump, this is our side bump, for obvious reasons. Glute med, okay, glute min, glute max. Glute max, hip extension, super important for performance. Yeah, come on. And then glute med, really important for stabilizing our hips, looking after that hip drop. If you want a really good core, a little bit of shoulder, I thought he was going to copy me then, and some good glute, go for your side plank. Here you can see slightly more in the muscular endurance ranges, 3 sets, 30 seconds on each side, then 30 seconds of rest. Really good one for you to do. Now upper body one, single arm bent over rows. Always try and go a single arm exercise because in swimming, obviously we're swimming single arm, okay? And I generally love doing upper body exercises that still tie in lower body. Because I'm like, well, we're putting the time and effort, let's still work on core and lower body as well, okay? Again, bang for buck there too. So this is really good for rhomboids, the back through here, still working our glutes and our hamstrings, powerful pull up, focusing on that nice 3-second down. okay? 3 sets, 12 reps, 60 seconds of rest in between. These 3 can make up your warm-up, all right? Yay, double whammy, warm-up, muscle endurance, tick, 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 awesome, okay? And core, all right? We don't have to do isolated sit-ups, yay, all included in the exercises. I sound like a salesperson, all included. I don't get shares in any of these exercises. I should. Okay, then we have our motor control. So this is where we're transferring it into swim bike run. Single leg deadlifts. Again, consistently up there with our side planks, are one of the best exercises that we can do to work our glute meats for stabilising. But now we're going, hello hamstrings, you're also invited to the party. All right, and where this transfers over to running and cycling, we don't want our knees falling in towards the top tube when we're getting tired and fatigued. We don't want our knees falling in on the back end of the run. We don't want our hips excessively dropping. So when you're doing your single leg deadlifts, really focusing on that quality of the knee position and just not letting it fall in. I always say to people, do your motor control exercises in front of a mirror. You can then keep an eye on your technique. We keep them slightly higher on the rep range, but you'll see that it's generally only about 8 reps. So you can see those reps coming down. We need to go slightly higher, so we're getting that nervous system, we're getting that feedback of how to do the exercise, but we don't want to push into excessive fatigue and for our technique to go kaput, and we really want some load into this. Because for our strength training to transfer over to running, every single step that you take running, okay, 6 to 8 to even 10 times our body weight through every single step, it's got to be heavy. We've got to start adding load. Otherwise, it's just not going to translate over, okay? Next one is a lateral step up. Anyone who gets any form of glute pain or knee pain, lateral step ups are such a fantastic choice. With these ones, we not only work on our glute med, but our adductors as well, okay? With these, you'll step nice and powerful up onto the box, get that nice rate of force development, really lots of power through your glutes, okay? Then slow control on the way down. Keep an eye on your knee as you come down into that, okay? And you get lots of adductor as well. We often forget about adductors and we always think our adductors inside of our thigh just does this, all right? So we've got something really triathlon important, but depending on the position of them, especially on the bike, they actually play a role in hip flexion, bring our knee up, and hip extension. So when your hip flexors get tired, adductors are gonna help out. When your hamstrings or your glutes get tired, adductors are gonna help out, okay? So you need to strengthen up those often forgotten about muscles as well. Everyone with me so far? Sweet, okay. No one is yawning or asleep, so that's good. All right, scapula push-up. When I arrived, I was like, I should have worn sports clothes because you cannot see this from a photo, so I'm gonna demonstrate. Okay, this is better in a tighter top as well, but you might wanna stand up if you can see, but I'm gonna demonstrate because it's a really good exercise that if you've done it before, who's done this before? Who's done, yes?
Is that like a diamond push-up? The same thing?
Ish, but you've done it?
Kind of like go into your, like, the pocket of your arm.
Yes, that's my girl. Okay, good. Who prescribed it to you? Did you? Did you do it yourself?
No physio, I think, as well.
Good physio,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so with this one, now I do it with my hands in a diamond because then I'm forcing myself into what I call shoulder internal rotation. When you get tired and fatigued on the back end of the swim, so we've got 3.8k to swim, unfortunately our hand is probably not going to be perfectly placed here. It's probably going to be a little bit fatigued, might be cutting across, so we need to strengthen into that position as well to avoid shoulder impingement. So I like to strengthen up in that range for this exercise. You don't have to. If you've got niggly shoulders, you can certainly do them underneath your shoulders. You'll come into a push-up position, okay, but all that you're doing, sinking your chest down to the ground, bringing your shoulder blades together, spreading your shoulder blades apart, bringing them together, spreading them apart. I do put these a lot probably on my Insta, so if anyone wants to have a good look at them or flick me a message, I'll tag you in the post, okay? But with these ones, these work on what we call the serratus anterior muscle. It's one you see on boxers, the fan-shaped muscle. I look at it like, woo, I don't know if you all do that. But it's the nice looking one, you know? Yes, don't act like you're not. I know it's not just me. All right, but it's that fan-shaped muscle. That is the only muscle that sticks your shoulder blade to the thoracic area. And I guarantee you almost no one in here has probably even heard of it or worked it, okay? But it is so important when it comes to preventing shoulder injuries, and also 3 for the price of 1. Every single one of these work what? Core, okay? How are we going? Does that all make sense? Beautiful. So there's 3 examples of good motor control exercises. Next, heavy. This is where everyone gets it wrong. Oh no, it's okay, I'll tell you what it is. All right, so, let's play a better game. All right, does anyone want to have a guess at the true set and rep range and approximate load or intensity of what heavy strength training is? And don't feel bad if you get it wrong, because I did this as a first study of my PhD and almost everybody got it wrong. If I said to you, got to go to the gym and you got to do some heavy weights, how many sets, how many reps, what kind of intensity? Yes, I like it. She's got to
5 by 5.
Ooh, good.
Yeah, that's what I.
And how many? Do you know reps in reserve?
I will go like my 8 rep reserve range. So what I can do for 8 reps, I'll do 5.
Nice. So 3 reps reserve. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Good. Take a photo of this. This set's 3 to 5 sets, 1 to 6 reps, 1 to 3 reps in reserve. I'll tell you what that is in a second. 90 seconds to 2 minutes of rest. Maximum for triathletes, 2 to 3 exercises. You don't need more than that in a gym session. Okay. Now, the heavy is relative, and we have to accommodate for your endurance training fatigue. Okay, which is why I love to use reps in reserve. Alright, so what that means, let's say for example, I go into the gym and I'm doing 4 sets, 5 repetitions of back squats, right? I've done my 5, I re-rack my weight, I think, how many more do you think, I'd ask myself, how many more likely I could do with that same weight, with good intensity until failure, okay? But I reckon I could have done 2, that's 2 reps in reserve, alright? The reason that I like using this with endurance athletes versus, say, percent of 1 RM is you don't have to maximal strength test. No one's got time for that, okay? And also, it depends on your fatigue on the day, all right? Let's say I've got a day, I'm feeling real good. Maybe I had like the weekend a little bit nicer. Maybe Jake's my coach and he's been nice to me the last week and I'm feeling good, okay? And then the next week, he's been mean to me. He's bumped up my load and I'm like, oh. Say I do my first, and let's say I know I'm aiming for 4 sets of 5 squats, leaving 1 rep in reserve, because I'm feeling good. I only want to leave 1 rep in reserve. Let's get those benefits, okay? I do my 5 squats at my 200 kilos. I re-rack it, and I'm like, oh, whoa. Or let's say I get to 4, and I put it back. I'm not hitting my 1 rep in reserve anymore, and I know that's my target. Weight's off, okay? This accommodates for how you feel on that day and how your fatigue is. And it can change every set as well, all right? But it's just your internal feedback, okay? It's really, really helpful for you guys to use in the gym. You can also use RPE, but I do find that endurance athletes, we're so used to RPE being like heart rate up, cracking sweat, working really hard, that I find it too confusing if I use that with athletes in their rehab or in the gym, because it's associated with that sweating and heart rate up. So I find reps in reserve to switch off the endurance brain, switch on gym or strength or rehab brain. Does that make sense? Sure? Beautiful. So I've given you 3 really straightforward exercises that you could literally start to implement whenever you want to, okay? First one, leg press, always single leg, okay? Why? Because we swim, bike, run, it's single leg. Swimming, we're kicking, okay? Single leg. Bike, you're pushing through 1 leg at a time. Running, you're running single leg. You're gonna get so much more out of the exercise if you do it single leg. People go, oh, Kate, it takes so much time. I'm like, no, you're not doubling your rest. You're just doubling like your leg. You know what I mean? It's going to take you like 20 seconds longer. It's not going to take you much longer, okay? So a really good place, well, actually I probably wouldn't start at 1 rep in reserve, but you could go 4 sets, 5 reps on each side. 2 minutes of rest is important, okay, for neural adaptations, that neural fatigue occurs, so you've got to give yourself rest on these ones, leaving 1 rep in reserve once you've built up to it. Right? Your face should look like this. You're working hard, okay? Another really good one. In fact, if the run is your weakest leg, and you go, okay, give me 1 exercise, that's exactly what I would give you, okay? Why? Because this works on Achilles tendon strength and stiffness. You will improve that. Remember, that's free speed. But also, your soleus, the deeper muscle in here, does the most work in running. More than your glutes, more than your hamstrings, more than your quads. This tiny muscle that you can't see is literally like thing. This tiny little slither that you can see here, not this big bad boy, I call the gastrocs, the big ones, the big sexies, okay? And then the soleus is the deeper one, all right? But if people go, it's so small, like if you were to unfold it and look at its cross-sectional area, which would be weird because you'd have to cut someone open to have a look. But if you were to literally unfold that muscle, it's huge and it does the majority of work with running. To work it though, we have to remove the use of the gastroc, the bigger calf muscle, to target the soleus. The soleus is all the slow twitch muscle fibers. Gastroc is fast twitch. They're the ones if you're doing sprints, if you use a no, whatever, okay, that's that one. We're not that one. Be out there for a long, long time. Work the soleus. To work the soleus, your knee has to be bent to a minimum of 30 degrees. If you don't have a seated calf raise, which is gold because you can load it up heavy, you could do this single leg in a Smith machine. You could set up a seated calf raise at home on a little step with a dumbbell over your knees. I did have one of my good friends who was really excited because he used to do his seated calf raises with his kids on his knees. And then after a while he's like, hey, I think I've graduated because he then could use his wife. Okay, so whatever it is that works for you. Okay. Sorry, yes.
You maybe, like, because I know that's quite important, can you maybe explain why it's important that your soleus doesn't fold up, like obviously in a marathon?
Yeah, so if your soleus falters, okay, if it gets excessively fatigued and tired, that energy then shifts up. Okay, so when I say the soleus, I'm talking about the soleus muscle and its insertion, which is through the Achilles tendon. Okay, if that goes kaput, all right, which it will happen to you at some stage. So our goal is to push that out as long as possible till 42.1 kilometers. Okay, so when that goes, I can't do this anymore, the load literally shifts up your body. Okay, in women, it's predominantly hips. All right, we tend to skip the knees for helping out, and by the knees I mean more the quads and the hamstrings. The knee doesn't tend to cop the load, it goes straight up to the hips, all right? So you can imagine like, wow, my Achilles, my soleus is so good, okay? And then it's no longer good, you're going bonk, bonk, because these are overworking and they're getting really tired and fatigued. Obviously an over-exaggeration. Okay, but that's what will happen. Your hips will drop, you can end up with back pain, knee pain, hip pain, and overall you're just less efficient because you want that ground reaction force for when you're running to go straight up your body, straight down. That's efficient, right? We don't want to go up to here, okay? It also puts you at high risk of injuries. If your calf muscles aren't strong enough to tolerate cycling or running, that's going to go up, and especially in women, it's going to be your hips that's going to get injured or your lower back. In men, it's the knees, so more the quads and the hamstrings and the knee joints, and the hips. They both take over the load, okay? If that's on the bike, your knee will start falling towards the top tube and you're losing that efficiency of all the power that you're generating here. If you lose that Achilles tendon stiffness and the soleus strength, you're generating all this power here, your knee's going to fall in towards the top tube, and whilst your calf shouldn't really be contracting while you're cycling, you're not like towing it, right? You're just holding it stationary. If that tendon's not stiff and strong, you got a flimsy bit of noodle transferring all the power from these big muscles into the pedal. You've worked all this hard work and you've just lost it through the Achilles. Okay, that needs to be strong and stiff to transfer that power in. You see cyclists, they got, I say big calves, but it's the soleus. You see them if they actually flex with their knees bent, you can see it pop out. Right? Does that make sense? So we're all just gonna go home and be like, good, if you can take one thing home, do that, and then you're like, hey. Okay. All right. Now, I also, did that answer it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I also, again, I always tie in my upper body exercise with lower body because I can't help myself. So a kneeling lat pull down is a really good example. Now, standard lat pull downs are fantastic if you have any form of lower back pain. Definitely go for a standard one. But if you want the best bang for buck in terms of core and lower limb, go a kneeling lat pull down, nice and strong and powerful, controlling back up again, okay? And actually I should emphasize that with your calf work as well. Two quick things with that. Always powerful on the way up. When we run, boom, we're powerful. Okay, our cadence and minimal ground contact time, two of the biggest things that improve running economy. You need to then do your strength training to replicate exactly that, but slow on the way down. For tendons to adapt, we need heavy, slow training. So I'm talking 3 to 5 seconds down, really slow and controlled, okay, nice and heavy. And then so you're going literally, so if I was on a calf raise, single leg, 1, 2, 3 here would be past neutral. You can see what next to it there. All the way down, then boom, powerful on the way up. It's intended velocity, so you might be going boom, but the weight's really heavy, so your actual speed is like, doesn't matter. It's intended velocity, not actual velocity. Okay, you're still going to get the benefits of that. All right. Excellent. Okay, how do we put this all together? You can't do all those exercises in one program, so we pick what suits you. Obviously, there's like a gazillion, trillion, gadillion different exercises out there. I've given you 9 and put them together. But if you don't really have any injuries, you just want to improve your performance and prevent injuries, this would be a great little cookie cutter thing for you to have. So I picked a couple to put together a program that should take me about 40 to 45 minutes in the gym, max, okay? Side plank for my muscular endurance, glute support. Did I say side plank? I said that, didn't I? Yeah. Lateral step ups, because I want some adductor and some nice powerful work through my glute max as well. Scap push up, because I want that core and that shoulder control. Awesome. Treat it as my warm up, injury prevention, all that stuff. Main set. Heavy on the leg press, ugly face. No one should look pretty doing leg press, alright? And then I see the calf raise because I can't go to the gym without it. Yay! Awesome. Okay, here's the question. Okay, Kate, sounds great. How often? Twice a week? 3 times a week? But I don't like to set overly ambitious, okay? So if you go, Kate, just give me the minimal dose for maximum return, twice a week. Oops. Are you sure? You go once? No. Okay? No. Alright. You can, but only to maintain. If you want to see meaningful changes, alright, you have to go twice a week to start with. Okay? That's all I did in my PhD. We saw huge improvements. I would have loved to have done 3, but twice is fine. You will still, no, it's more than fine. Twice is great. Okay? If you want to maintain strength, research does show that if you go to the gym once a week for 8 weeks, you keep the load, you keep the intensity. You can't drop the intensity if you're only going once a week. It has to be hard still, okay, or challenging.